RVing adventures with the Crunchy Hippie Family. Hey there friends, don't forget to like, follow, and share so that we can show you more of our fun daily life. We're about ready to embark on some RV adventures. So today's video is about an RV upgrade, making a magnetized refrigerator front. Many more adventures to come. Thanks for being with us today. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take off the existing panels that are not magnetic. This one's already off. Just got to pry off this side strip. And these slide out really nice. Okay, so next up, Rob is going to cut some sheet metal that we just got at Lowe's, and we're going to attach it after we remove the child locks. Okay, so we're gonna do marking the template of the sheet metal. New blade. I'm gonna try some what?
10 snips.
10 snips first and see if that works versus getting out the oscillating tool.
Oh yeah.
Like butter.
Like butter.
Just don't cut yourself. Yes, this is very sharp. The kids had a little lesson as we walked through Lowe's because our 19-year-old was recounting how she got stitches all over her legs when we were building a chicken coop with metal corrugated roofing years ago.
Even after I warned her.
Even after Dad warned her.
Yep. You could only do so much.
So this means we get to return that new blade. We didn't even have to open it. That just lowered the cost of our project. Ooh, that blinded me. I did see a little bend in there, but we're not too worried about, see that little bend? Not too worried about it because we're actually going to cover this with some stick-on wallpaper.
Yep. So if we get this off.
We use these child straps to just make sure that the refrigerator and freezer do not come open in transit. So we had to remove the clip from the old one. Perfect fit.
Now we're gonna go slide this in now just to make sure there isn't any problems.
Make sure it's gonna fit. Okay, let's do that. We're in here getting it all set up, so it's a mess right now.
We're tightening the bottom one because it's just thicker on the top.
Yeah, the top board is probably twice as thick as the bottom cover.
Might be because it's the freezer, I'm not sure. There we go.
And are we going to still have room for the decorative paper over the top?
Yeah. I need to trim up the corner here. Feels like it's bubbling a little bit.
You're going to shave down the underboard a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe make sure to rubber this. Just to make sure.
It obviously might slide in easier once those two pieces are actually attached to each other. We thought about just leaving the front boards out and only replacing it with the metal. The metal is quite lightweight and bendy, and we just weren't sure if that was the best solution. So we thought, well, if we just end up gluing the board to the metal, we have a nice sturdy front. Do you want to slide it in without the backer board and just see how it fills in there with just the metal?
It's just a little too much.
Too wobbly?
You're gonna have these indents in the corner unless you have something behind it. So I think I want to try to trim it just a bit.
Try to trim down the original panel a little bit.
This edge just a little bit. I think it's
Oh,
just
okay.
a little too wide to fit in there nicely with the board.
So you're not going to change the backer board at all. You're going to trim the metal a tiny bit.
Yep, I'm going to try and trim off just about 1/8 of an inch here. Make it just a little bit slimmer.
Okay.
Do that.
All right, next up, I'm going to cover the sheet metal with this cute paper. It's removable, pill and stick. It's not quite wide enough to go across this way. Would have been ideal had that worked, but we couldn't find one. So I will go across, and that means on the refrigerator portion, I will just have to match it. However, this should not be too terribly hard to match. At least not noticeably hard to match. And in the meantime, Rob is making the refrigerator door.
So, and the other piece is going to be about 3 inches short. But we're going to put that little strip on the top because that'll have less weight. This big piece will be the bottom, and we're going to use seam foil tape to stick them together on both sides. So.
And the reason we had to do this is because at Lowe's, they only had this size of sheet metal
In stock.
So we could not, if we wanted to get this project done today, we have to patch it in.
You could special order it for 48 inches long, but they only had this in.
Right, and if we were going to paint them, like some people we've seen paint the sheet metal and just make it like a fun color, that seam would be noticeable, although you could make it a decorative trim piece like our freezer top actually naturally had. Let's see if I can show you. See, it already had a line on it, so we could have, I guess, done something like that. However, I think we're going to be able to disguise the line in this because we're covering everything here. Okay, so we'll be back in a minute because we both are doing work and we can't film at the same time. I'm going to cover this one while he's cutting that one, and then we'll show you what we came up with. Okay, so Rob is seaming together the two pieces of sheet metal for the lower refrigerator portion. Panel, it's going back in. I'm just gonna sit here on the couch while Rob is doing this.
Open with the paper, it can still slide in.
Easy does it. Panel 2 in. Need help?
Yes.
Just holding it, or you need my hands? Okay. And here's the completed fridge. We're about ready to get some of our magnet collection to put on there. You can see the line across the top, if you look close, of the bottom portion where we had to join those 2 pieces of sheet metal. I think I'm gonna use my Cricut and make like a strip to go across there or something, or we might just cover it with magnets and call it a day. The nice thing about this is it's pretty simple to change the look if we decide that we don't want this pattern, or if we decide the little imperfections bother us too much, we could go with a thicker type of wallpaper. So there it is, our magnetized refrigerator in the RV. Okay friends, there is our completed and magnetized RV refrigerator. This is a Norcold, I think it's an 8 cubic foot. We're in a Grand Design Trans-In 2020. And eventually I'd love to replace the refrigerator so that we would have one that runs on our batteries, a 12 volt. This one is a propane and a shore power. But it's what we've got, and now we can put our magnets on. And I know we have more magnets hiding somewhere. I'm not sure that we actually began collecting them at the beginning of our trips, because we've been to way more places than what you're seeing here. But we'll have to check around and see if there's more in a box in the house. Or if maybe we just didn't start collecting them until further in the journey. I honestly can't remember. We've been back and forth, West Coast to East Coast to West Coast, several times at this point, but we have not quite made every state. And now I'm gonna finish. We gotta get this RV set up and ready to go for our first trial weekend before we take a big trip and spend about 6 weeks living in this thing.